Three women go home after a graduation night. By morning, all three are gone. Their cars are still in the driveway. Their purses are still inside. The family dog is left behind. There is no obvious scene of violence, no clear forced entry, no body, no proven suspect, and no answer that is ever fully held together. It is one of the most unsettling missing person cases in American true crime. What makes this case so gripping is the scale of the disappearance. One person vanishing can be explained away in 100 different directions. Three people vanishing from the same home in the same narrow window is different. That immediately tells you this was not just someone slipping out for air, not someone deciding to leave without warning, not some simple misunderstanding stretched into a mystery. If three women disappear together in one house overnight, then something happened inside that space or just outside it. And yet the case has never produced the kind of evidence that would let investigators lock the story into one clear shape. Sherrill Levitt was 47 years old. Her daughter, Suzie Streeter, was 19. Suzie's friend Stacy McCall was 18. On the night of June 6, 1992, Suzie and Stacy had been out celebrating their high school graduation. According to the FBI and later case summaries, the two girls attended parties that night and then ended up returning to Sherrill's home to spend the night. Sometime before morning, all three disappeared. They have never been seen or heard from again. That setup alone is powerful for storytelling because it begins with something so normal. A graduation night, teenagers moving between houses, a parent at home, cars parked outside, plans for the next day. Nothing about that sounds like the start of a case that will still haunt investigators more than 30 years later. But some of the most terrifying cases begin exactly that way, with a routine night that gives no warning at all. The next morning is where the case turns from ordinary into deeply strange. Friends and relatives became concerned when Suzie and Stacy did not show up as expected. When people went to the house, they found their vehicles still there. Inside, the women's personal items had been left behind, including purses, keys, cigarettes, and other belongings. Newsweek's 2025 summary also notes that even the family's Yorkshire Terrier, Cinnamon, was still in the home. That detail matters because it reinforces how abruptly this happened. People can leave in a hurry. People do not usually leave their cars, their money, their purses, and the dog unless something interrupted them hard and fast. And yet the house did not present itself like a violent abduction scene. According to Newsweek's report summarizing the known facts, there were no clear signs of forced entry or struggle, aside from a broken porch light globe. Suzie's television was left on, and a can of soda sat near a pack of cigarettes. That combination is part of what gives the case its eerie tone. The home looked less like a battleground and more like life had simply stopped mid-sentence. That kind of scene is what makes the human mind spiral. Because if there is blood, shattered furniture, a kicked-in door, then at least the horror makes a terrible kind of sense. But a quiet house with all the essentials left behind is different. It creates a tension that never really releases. It suggests the women may have been taken by surprise, lured to the door, convinced to step outside, or overwhelmed before they had the chance to react in a way that left obvious damage behind. That is an inference, not a proven reconstruction, but it is exactly why this mystery has endured for so long. Then the case becomes even more frustrating. Before police were called, multiple friends and relatives had already gone into the house. Newsweek reported that between 10 and 20 people were likely inside before authorities arrived. And that one visitor even swept up the broken porch light glass, not realizing it might be evidence. The same report says a strange answering machine message was heard and then accidentally erased after playback. If true, that means this case may have lost crucial evidence in its earliest hours, before anyone realized the home was not just the site of a disappearance, but possibly the center of a major crime scene. That is one of the most painful parts of this story. Not because anyone meant harm, but because it shows how easily evidence can disappear when normal people are trying to help inside a situation they do not yet understand. Imagine arriving at a friend's house, seeing the cars there, thinking something is weird but not catastrophic, stepping inside, tidying a little, checking messages, moving objects, maybe trying to calm yourself with practical tasks. Then later realizing those first few minutes may have erased something investigators desperately needed. That possibility hangs over this case like a second tragedy. There were other unsettling details. Newsweek reports that another visitor at the house received obscene phone calls from an unidentified man while inside. Police later said the caller made sexual comments and used profane language. Whether that caller had anything to do with the disappearance has never been publicly proved, but in a case already stripped of certainty, even details like that become part of the dread. Because then the question is not just what happened to the women. It is whether the person responsible was bold enough to keep circling the scene even after they were gone. And that is where the Springfield 3 becomes more than a mystery. It becomes a study in silence. 3 women vanish. Their lives do not continue anywhere visible. No confirmed sightings. No known financial trail that leads to a new life. No discovered remains. No definitive public answer. The FBI still lists them as missing. Springfield authorities have continued to treat the case as open. More than 5,000 tips have been processed over the years, according to Newsweek's summary, and still the core fact remains untouched. No one knows for certain where Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy went. That is why this case has such power for long-form storytelling. It gives you 3 layers of fear at once. First, the fear of home not being safe. Second, the fear of something huge happening without noise or visible chaos. Third, the fear that the first critical hours, the ones that usually shape an investigation, may have been quietly damaged before anyone understood the stakes. Each layer makes the next one worse. Over the years, many theories have attached themselves to this case. There have been rumors about known offenders, rumors about personal connections, rumors about retaliation, rumors about burial sites, and rumors about men who claim to know what happened. One of the names that has floated around the case is Robert Craig Cox, who in 1997 claimed he knew the women had been murdered and that their bodies would never be found. But Newsweek reports that police have long treated him as unreliable and that his claims were never corroborated. That matters because this is the kind of case that attracts confessions, boasts, and attention-seeking noise. The real challenge is separating dark mythology from evidence that can actually stand up. And maybe that is why the Springfield 3 still grips people so strongly. It is not just unsolved, it is unfinished in a way that feels almost unbearable. There is no final image to hold. No last confirmed step outside the house. No one public moment where the story visibly breaks. Just a normal-looking home, 3 absent women, and a set of clues that seem important without ever becoming decisive. If there is one image that defines this case, it is not dramatic at all. It is a driveway with cars still parked where they should be. That image is terrifying because it tells you the women were supposed to be there. Their lives were still arranged around that house. Their next steps were supposed to begin from that driveway. Instead, the morning arrived and only the evidence of ordinary life remained. Sherrill, Levitt, Suzanne Streeter, and Stacy McCall disappeared from Levitt's home in Springfield, Missouri between 2:15 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. on June 7, 1992, according to the FBI. More than 30 years later, the case remains unsolved and all 3 are still listed as missing. And that is what makes this case so chilling. It is not built around one shocking act caught on camera. It is built around absence. 3 women, 1 house, 1 night, no answers. And the longer you sit with that, the stranger it feels that a mystery this large could still leave behind so little certainty. If you follow true crime stories that stay with you because the simplest facts are the hardest to explain, subscribe to Caseboard Daily. Because some cases are terrifying, not because the scene was chaotic, but because it was quiet enough to make the impossible look ordinary.